Today's lesson will be a guided tutorial for what I'd call an essential skill for any drummer, double strokes. This video is specifically for drummers that have never tried to play a double stroke roll before, or at least have never learnt the proper technique to execute it correctly. There'll be plenty of parts for you to press pause and practice, and then start the video again and play along with me. You might find yourself coming back to this video many times over the next couple of years and practicing along. So save it to a playlist, get on the pad or snare, and let's get started. I promise you, if you follow the exact steps in this video, you'll learn how to play a flawless double stroke roll on any surface. The push-pull. This is it, the trick. The one thing that will change your bouncy, weak doubles into powerful, strong doubles that you could play on a pillow, your thigh, a pizza, you name it. That doesn't mean just knowing this will make your hands do it immediately, though. We'll need to build it up slowly and use specific techniques designed to teach our brains the coordination required to execute it properly. The first thing to do is try. I remember when I first did this, the sticks went flying across the room, and yes, they absolutely bounced up and hit me in the face a few times. Not easy and quite painful. Stroke one is the push. If your grip is right, you should have a little gap in between your first finger and your thumb right here. We're going to need that in order to complete the two parts of the stroke. For me, all three fingers act as a bit of a pivot point, but the predominant fulcrum is between my second finger and my thumb, with all the other fingers touching the stick and guiding the stick. Yours might be between your first finger and your thumb, for example, but don't worry about that for now. As you build the tempo as you get better, your body will figure out what you're trying to do and adapt accordingly to get the results you want. As I've said before, time is your greatest friend when learning the drums. The first thing to do here is strike the drum head and use the rebound off the head to catch the stick as it comes back to you. You'll want to catch the stick at 12 o'clock so the stick is directly upright. Exercise one then is to practice the push with the right hand first, or whichever is your strong hand, catching the stick at 12 o'clock. Make sure when you catch the stick, all your three back fingers are in contact with the stick. We will need this when we come to the second stroke. I'll demonstrate this for you now, but you may need to pause the video here and practice this a few times. Once you're starting to catch the stick around 12 o'clock pretty consistently, start the video again and hit 20 hits with me, all perfect. Great, so once you've got that down and are feeling all good about yourself, now it's time to do the same thing with the left, or whichever is your weak hand. Sorry. Mastering the first stroke of the double here is absolutely paramount if we're going to be able to play the second correctly. When I started doing this, I spent about a week or maybe longer on that first stroke, and regularly I would come back to it if I wasn't sure if what I was playing was clean. It is this type of hyper attention to detail that is necessary to master the double stroke roll. Like I said, please pause this video regularly and come back to it later when you're ready. What we are doing is teaching the brain the motor function of this movement. With serious repetition over a sustained period of time, this movement will become natural to the brain and we can put ourselves on autopilot and it'll just happen. I sometimes like to call the pull stroke the snap back because that's exactly how it feels to me. After the stick has come up to 12 o'clock with all three back fingers extended and in contact with the stick, we will now use those three fingers to pull the stick down back towards the drum. The first finger will either be your fulcrum or a guide. This is how we're going to get our 2 for the price of 1 motion, which is exactly what will allow us to play double strokes at speed, so it's very important that it's done correctly. The snapback or the pull stroke should look like this. Keeping the arm perfectly still and starting at the 12 o'clock position, practice snapping back with the fingers and striking the drum. Reset, get the stick back up to 12 and practice again. Practice this a few times until you can do it a little bit and then play along with me. We'll aim for 20 with each hand just like before. This is where you'll actually play a double stroke. Having isolated and mastered the 2 constituent strokes, now it's time to put them together. So, for exercise 2, we'll play 4 right-hand doubles into 4 left-hand doubles. A double here should be defined as 1 push stroke directly into 1 pull stroke. That should look like this. It should feel a little bit like bouncing a ball. Drop, catch, push, pull, etc. Play along with me here at 40 BPM playing 8th notes, but you may need to practice this without the click first. Once you're roughly doing it correctly, jump in with me. Now it's time to play the double strokes into each other like we would in a double stroke roll. So we'll now play 1 double, 1 push-pull with the right hand into 1 double with the left hand. Remember, control here is everything. Also remember, we are teaching our brains the motor function of what it feels like when we tell our hands to play a double. This process takes time, and you will even need to sleep on this, for example, and it'll be better the next day. There are no shortcuts here, but with patience, doubles will change your life and how you play it forever. When trying to build the speed of your doubles, it can be useful to focus on a couple of things. 1, try and make the second stroke, the pull, louder than the push. This will in time grow your pull stroke and make it stronger so you don't have these terrible, bouncy, first note louder dubs and instead have these nice, even and consistent doubles that sound like a roll. The next exercise can be really useful for building speed. Make sure you've spent a decent amount of time on the previous exercise, and once you've got that down at an okay tempo, then start to incorporate this as you progress. We'll play 2 doubles at the rate of 8th notes, push, pull as 1 and 2 and then 4 doubles in the rate of 16th notes to take up 3 E ander, 4 E ander. I'll show you what I mean. If you could play those perfectly with the technique applied during the lesson, well done. You've completed the hardest part of the battle. Now that you know the technique, the rest is on you. I promise, all that happens when you play double strokes at 200 BPM as 16th notes is this movement. It gets smaller the faster you go. You do use the rebound of the drum just like when playing singles, but you do not rely on it. This took me about a year of slowly building the tempo and about 2 years until I was using them seamlessly in grooves, fills and solos at speed. Build the tempo by 1 or 2 BPM at a time, and if you liked anything in the video, please do like, subscribe and leave a comment if you'd like me to cover anything. Thank you so much.